Hi, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for being here. Tonight, we have a extra special guest, and I am super excited to talk to you. Welcome, Guppy Guru, to the stream.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being here.
Glad I finally made it on.
Yeah, we have been trying for a little while to have a conversation, but I'm glad it worked out.
Yes.
We finally made it work.
Yeah,
I feel like we have very similar taste in fish, so I'm excited to talk.
For sure. Yeah, definitely the Guppies, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And if you hear anything in the background, Jesse is over here off to the side. So he's hidden, but he's still here.
Well, if you see my cat going around trying to catch fish, that's pretty normal too. So
yeah. Our cat recently ran away, actually.
Oh no.
When we had the cat, this one behind me right here, this was her favorite. She had one tank.
Yep.
She liked. She didn't bother anything else. She'd occasionally look at the other tanks, but she had one tank that she definitely preferred. And she wouldn't bug the fish, but she would swat at the water and drink. But
right.
She had a favorite.
My cat does the same thing. She's got actually a favorite fish. So there's a salt and pepper platy, and she'll put her paw down in the water and actually like play with the fish. It is the cutest thing. Yeah. At first I was like, oh my gosh, she's trying to catch that fish. Yeah. And then I looked and the fish was like swimming her paw. Yeah. Like it was the cutest thing. I was so in love.
Yeah, so I was worried at first too, but then I was like, yeah, that's cute.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't have a problem when it's cute. So
No, not at all. Do you have any like favorite guppy topics that you want to talk about first? Because from top of the aquarium down to substrate, whatever pops into your brain, is there anything particular you want to start off with?
Ooh, that is a great question. Not really. I mean, it's kind of with guppies, it's so easy because you can do anything. Like that's the best part. It's not just like these 10 things are what you have to have. Like, there's a lot of strains of fish that you kind of have to do that. You have to have special water type, or you have to be very, very careful with that kind of stuff. But with guppies, I mean, they're really wide range of fish. So you can get all the way from really good hard water all the way down to soft water. Some people have great success. So there's really nothing that I'm like, you have to have this and it'll be perfect. As long as you have a really good, water that's clean and they eat well, you're going to have success with guppies.
And you can make it as complicated or as you want, from just keeping your first tank to knowing all the genetics and making a specific type of guppy that you can keep them however you want.
Exactly.
Do whatever you want with them. Because like you said, they're awesome.
They are.
So many different varieties,
colors, sizes. Yeah. I mean, it's mind blowing, and it's just going to keep getting better too. Just because I feel like the guppy love or the passion for guppies has really exploded in the last year and a half. Or like I was talking with my local guppy club, and they're like, yeah, this last year we've seen a huge increase in younger population coming into like the IFGA and that kind of stuff. So that's really cool to hear that it's like, because the older generation of guppy keepers are getting to the point where they're not going to be doing it much longer and being able to travel and everything. So they're being able to pass on that information now, which is so cool. Because I mean, like you look at like Greg Sage and Brian Chin and all these incredible breeders, all their knowledge is like beyond anything we could ever imagine. And they're like, here, read my book or watch my videos, or, it's just so cool. I love it.
Well, have you over the years had like one go-to source, like whether a book or a person or just something like a resource that was your favorite go-to to learn about guppies specifically? Because I feel like you're a really good breeder, and I've kept guppies, but I've never had the intention to just breed them. And I feel like you breed them a lot more than I do.
Well, it also helps when you have 26 different strains.
Yeah.
So that kind of helps.
I feel like you have all these really cool from all different places, from high-end ones to just like locally. But have you picked up like a favorite resource that like a blog that you go to all the time and just kind of read, or is it just
my local guppy club, I think, is the best resource that I could ever have. Like
Yeah.
there's literally the people in the Guppy Club are the sweetest, the kindest, the smartest, the most knowledgeable. Like they're willing to do anything for anybody in it. And you can have a different political background. You can have a different religious background. It doesn't matter because we all love guppies.
Yeah.
So it's like a real bond that everyone has in the club. And it's growing rapidly, which is really cool. But that is 100% my best resource. But a lot of people don't have that. And if you don't have that, I recommend Brian Chin's book. Brian Chin is an incredible author, an incredible photographer, an incredible genetics, has some of the most beautiful guppies in the world. And he's a really good part of our Guppy Club as well. So he posts a lot of pictures and videos and stuff onto our Facebook group. So there's a lot of really good resources with him. So if someone's looking for a really good resource they can get anywhere, you can get his book on Amazon. I think it's like $12, $15, somewhere around in there.
Okay.
And I think he has like 2 or 3 of them now. So really, really great. Like he goes down into like, you need the Y genetic from this fish and the X from this in order to get, you know, this lace color or this snake skin. It's incredible. He goes so far down wormholes that you're just like, I can read it like 100 times and I only like comprehend maybe 2%.
Yeah.
And then I have to read it again and then I'll get another 2%. So like, as far as guppy genetics and that kind of thing, I am nowhere near anything good at that yet. That's my long-term goal, of course. But right now it's pretty much just keeping strains that I already have as pure as possible. So that's kind of my goal at the moment.
Do you ever have a problem with them over time after like years kind of?
So I've only had my fish room for a year. So I haven't got to that point yet. But when I do get to that point, like Brian Chen's got a great part in his book about that, you know, separating genetic strains. So you're going to get, you know, your F1s, your F3s. So all your different generations of fish, you can kind of breed them back into themselves over time.
Kind of back cross breeding.
Correct. Yeah. And I just don't have that set up. So pretty much I'm running all 10s and a strain per 10. And then I'm selling fish. I'm giving fish away. I'm donating them to my local fish club. I'm giving them to my fish store. Like there's a lot of different ways that my fish are leaving. So the genetics tend to stay pretty pure in that situation. But if someone's got like, let's say a 29 and they've got just one strain of guppy, about a year, maybe a year and a half, they're going to want to add some more of that same strain to keep that strain going strong.
That's my problem. I found one I really liked, but I've had that strain, I don't even know, for like 5 years. And it's gotten pretty weak. And it's probably just over the last like year. And now I'm just down to females, and a lot of them are pregnant. So I'm hoping, but I feel like I need to concentrate more on that because I know enough about it to follow in like an article and read, but it's just enough to get me in trouble too.
Right.
Because with my biology degree, we learned about the pundit. Have you ever looked into pundit squares and all?
It's X in a box.
It's so fascinating, but it's just enough to get me in trouble too.
Oh yeah.
So, it's like, I know what you're doing, but do I really know what you're doing?
Is it really that way, or am I reading too far?
There's so many other different factors to it too, and so many different variations. But I've read somewhere along the years, and I don't know where, that guppies are one of the only animals, if not one of the few, that actually pass genetic information on the Y chromosome and not just the X's. And I'm fascinated by that aspect, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's down a wormhole. I've gone a tiny bit, but not a whole lot. But there are a majority of the guppy strains that we love and are like the most common are a Y genetic strain. So like, I think albino strains are Y. If I remember correctly, I could be completely wrong on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's, like I said, that's out of my realm so far still. But like, the Y genetic is an incredible thing because you can pull a lot of different really cool things,
Yeah.
lace, snake skins, albinos.
It seemed like it was very, from what I understood, and it's been years, but it was very color pattern specific. But again, I know enough to get me in trouble.
Right.
So,
Yeah, like metalhead guppies. That's a very new strain. It hasn't been around it's been around for a long time back in the past, but it's starting to come back again. And that is a Y genetic. So that's one that comes from colorations or body pattern styles. And I love metalhead guppies. I think they're gorgeous. It's just such a cool thing to see, just a pure silver face and then all this really cool patterning. It's just mind blowing.
Well, do you have any other type? I know you keep bettas, right?
I don't. I used to have the betta barracks. I bred that the Candy Nemo placat, and I had 65 fry, and I raised them all up and gave a bunch of them away, sold a bunch of them. I think I have two males left, and then I have 7 females in a sorority tank, all sisters, which is really fun.
Yeah.
And then my mom's got a betta. And then Trent Weldon over at Weldon Tanks and Michael Pohl over at Bay Area have one as well. So there's a lot of them all over the place, which is really fun. But yeah, I bred them. So that was really fun. It was not something I was ready for.
I can't imagine.
It was
the amount of fry and what to do with them scares me. But for some reason with live bears, it don't bug me at all. So
yeah, I wasn't prepared for having to build a system to house that many babies.
No,
and then having to keep them all separate. That was the thing. The amount of space that it took to do the betta barracks. I now have 420 longs full of 6 different types of fish. So it's kind of is it better to have a lot of one, or is it better to have a really cool cares rack and be able to keep some really cool fish in that same space? So I've gone away from breeding the bettas. I really enjoyed it though. It was a blast. Yeah, they're such.
You tried it. You had success.
Yeah, I did it once. I'll probably do it again later on in the future, but right now it's not. I just don't have the space for it. I just love my guppies. I'd rather have 100 guppies in the same spot as a couple of bettas. So,
do you have any other type of live bears, or is it just mainly guppies?
So I've got the golden skiffia, or the skiffia francia, or however you pronounce it. That's a goodiad. So that's a live bearer. I've got a bunch of endlers as well. And then that's pretty much it as far as a live. Well, and then I've got some platies and stuff as well. But I mean, who doesn't?
I have some right here.
Yeah. And platies are my favorite to go with guppies because if you do mollies, then they'll breed together and then you get the muppies. But if you do platies, you don't have to worry about that. So I've always gone platy guppy together because I don't have to worry. I know that everything's going to stay pure. And I just don't like messing with stuff if I don't have to. So, but yeah, there's, then I've got, I just picked up some of the honey gouramis. I've got mouth brooding bettas, which is really cool. The betta chinoides. I've got a bunch of bristlenose plecos. I've got corridoras. I got shrimp. I got snails. I got all sorts of fun things. So,
what got you into guppies originally? I feel like when I walked into the fish stores, I was so young, and you could put so many in there, and they were so colorful, and they were just all over the place, and I just kept them and fell in love with. Was there any specific thing that drew you to them? Because I feel like it's pretty much your favorite fish too, like me. Oh
yeah, it's definitely my favorite because it's oh cool, I have 26 of them, 26 different types. It's just mind blowing how many there are. But my passion / love started for that when I got my first 45 tall, which now is housing the discus I got from Trent. I had 3 Larry Moe and Curly of the red tail or red mosaic blue ear Dumbos. And those 3 were my favorite. I could put my hand in the tank, they'd swim into my hand. They'd eat out of my fingers, just the funnest little fish. And that really sparked that wow, people always say these are beginner fish and there's no personality to them. And I'm that is 100% wrong.
No, yeah.
Like you can get as advanced as you want with guppies. You can be like really advanced, almost too much advanced if you want to. Or you can be just a normal, you know, one tank household and have an incredible a variety of color and shape and everything. But the Dumbos is really, I really love Dumbo strains, even though it's not IFGA, you know, affiliated or sanctioned. I still think they're gorgeous. I think the IFGA in the future will probably add them at some point because it's becoming such a popular strain to keep. But right now it's not. So, but I still love them.
Yeah. Any guppy. I like all of them. Whatever tank I'm looking at, that's my new current favorite.
No, for sure. Yeah, I just like every day I come in, I'm like, ooh, that's cool. Like that's a new like pattern on that one, or I love it.
Did you jump right in and go from like no aquariums to a Guppy Garage, or did you have one for a little while?
No, I got I got the first tank, which is the 45 tall. I had some tanks when I was a kid, like, you know, a betta here and there, you know, like a tree frog at one point. But I hadn't had fish tanks for years and years and years and years. But I did like 3 years of like wormhole, like forums, videos after videos after videos. And my fiance was like, just buy a tank already. I'm tired of hearing you talk about fish and you don't have any. It's annoying. Just go buy one. So I went on Facebook Marketplace. I bought a 45 tall with an Aqua Clear 110. The light, the stand, all of it already ready to go. Set that up, let it cycle, did the whole everything I was supposed to do, which is really cool. And then it just worked so well. Then she's like, okay, well, let's add a couple more tanks because you really enjoy this. So then I put 2 more in our bedroom, and then I did the bettas. And so I got the male betta, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. And then they got in a female, and I'm like, oh, now I want that. So then I bought the female, and then I put her in, and then they spawned. So then I had to put a space for them. And then my fiance was like, just take over the garage. Like, this is what you love doing. It's really a stress relief for you. It's your passion. I can tell. Like, it's going to take you a far way in life. And it's something that I think you should really just take advantage of. So she gave me the garage, and we went from 1 tank in like June, July, to now I am looking at over 50 tanks. In about a little year and some months. So
I knew you had more than me. But I'm at 30, like low 30 something.
I just added another 15. So a whole nother rack. Yeah, a whole nother rack for a big project I've got coming in. So it's
do you have like a specific plan when you aquascape, or do you just, because I try to aquascape, but there is no aquascaping talent in my blood. Like, I just try. Do you map it out and like practice it before, or do you just go for it? Whatever happens, happens.
I feel like if it's gonna not happen naturally, it's not gonna happen in nature. So therefore, if I throw a rock in, wherever that rock lands is what would have happened in nature. So why not let that happen in our fish tanks? So like the tank behind me, you know, branches fall down, plants move around, they grow, they spread. And I've just been leaving that because I think that's, you know, it's going to happen that way. It's going to be natural that way. So I just kind of let things just happen as they happen. I have a general plan going in. Just like I know I want, you know, a space to put aqua soil or whatever. So like behind me, there's like 2 like pockets that hold the aqua soil so that the plants grow really nicely. But other than that, there was no other plan.
Do you have the same type of substrate in all of your aquariums, or do you have one of this type and a couple sand over here and maybe a dirted one over there, or is it all really uniform?
So all my breeding 10s all have just the PetSmart black aquarium gravel, like just the cheap aquarium gravel. I don't like bare bottom tanks. I think that like that extra little bit of biomedia and that can really make a solid seasoned tank if you leave it in there. So I leave it. I don't gravel back. I don't do any of that. And the tanks do incredible. I now tend to do a water change every month, which is pretty good. Now that they're all seasoned really well. But then I've got, like, in the tank behind me, just gravel from Home Depot with the Eco Complete in those pockets. And then I've got, like, the pool filter sand in the extinct fish, the golden skiffia tank. And then I've got, like, black diamond blasting sand in with the Bisher, so that he's not sucking down any big pieces. So pretty much it's like whatever kind of works with the system the best, but most of my tanks are running just the black gravel from PetSmart.
Okay. And do you use I'm assuming Aquarium Co-op Easy Green?
Yes. Yeah. Every tank. Yeah. Once a week. Yeah. So
use the system or just the Easy Green?
I use just the Easy Green. Okay. I've done the other ones. I didn't see I don't have a whole lot of red plants. The one tank I do have red plants in, I do the Easy Iron in just to make sure that I keep that red going really well. But it's a 20 long and it's got a Phoenix Stingray on it, so it's getting more than enough light. Yeah. So now I have an explosion of hair algae, which is awesome because there's
this Blue Dream behind me right here.
Yeah. It's just like, it's just everywhere sometimes. Yeah. It's like, I'm fine with it. I have no problem with it.
I've been this right here. It was so bad that I just let it grow, and now I just call it a shrimp wall.
Yeah.
I like cut it back, but it's just a wall of algae. And I cut it down, but the shrimp are always crawling around on it.
Yeah, they eat off that.
And they're yellow shrimp. They're nothing special.
I like yellow. I can't keep yellow.
They love it. It's the only one I have them in, but they love it on that. So I just kind of trim it back, but it's always overgrown and a mess.
Yeah. If you have no algae in your tanks, something's wrong with you, or you have nothing else to do. Like, I have so much algae and I love that. Like,
it seems
it's the best.
The pond, the outside tubs rather, that almost did better if I left all of it. Looks horrible.
It looks awful.
It bred the fish better.
Yep. There's a lot more like natural stuff that they're eating, because out in the wild they're not getting fed daily from us. Like, that's just not going to happen. They're going to eat all the bugs and the little microorganisms and everything off of nature. Like, so giving them the ability to do that is definitely gonna rock for sure. Because
you brought yours in a week ago, 2 weeks ago. When did you?
I brought them in during that crazy windstorm. Yeah, so I left the goldfish and the koi outside because they're fine. But everything else, I was outside. I was in like 2 jackets because, of course, it was 90 degrees and then it dropped down to 40. So I'm like freezing because I wasn't prepared for that. Your body takes a little bit of time to acclimate. And I was freezing cold. I had all my specimen containers, all my nets, and I was just scooping guppies like crazy. I ended up getting like 180 out of the 270 gallon pond. I didn't get any out of the metalhead blue greens. I didn't get any out of that because they weren't in there long enough, because I was expecting another month and a half of, and then I can't remember what was in the other one. I don't think I had anything in another tank, but yeah, I was out there scooping guppies for 2.5 hours. And luckily I only lost, I think, 2 that I couldn't catch. Yeah. Which is pretty good considering.
Yeah.
So.
This year, because I couldn't get them out, I would do really well with breeding them, but I would always miss some. So this year I talked Jesse into just moving the tubs inside.
Perfect.
And we cleaned out this little room that we hadn't used in ever. So now I just have like all these tubs, and I'm like, I'll catch them over time and put them in the tanks, but they'll probably just stay in there.
Yeah, why not? I mean, then you can just move the whole tub back out again.
Because no one goes in there, and being down here, it stays a little bit warmer. And so, because this was last night was the first real cold night. So we decided to bring them in. So,
yeah, I wish I could move my tubs, but they're 100-gallon stock tanks.
Yeah, the 300-gallon ones we left out there, and I'm just hoping for the best.
Yeah, I really do. I got some really nice pond heaters there. I'm trying to see if I can see the brand right here. I can't see the brand on them, but I got some really good ones, and they're not glass. They're like the metal rod ones. And those have been testing outside, and they've been doing awesome in the ponds,
Really?
keeping it between like 78 and 81, depending on where I've got the temp set. And it hasn't fluctuated at all. So those I would recommend if you got some guppies outside. And they're like, I think like 15, 16 bucks. So they weren't that bad price-wise either. So, and I think they were 300 watt. So they were a little bit larger.
Yeah, because I have a de-icer for the pond that it doesn't keep it warm, but it keeps enough to where it won't freeze in one little spot.
Right.
But I wanted to move because I've moved so many heaters out of these aquariums down here because they just didn't need it. They were almost getting too hot, that I wanted to put in those 300 gallons. But I was like, surely it would be okay. That I don't feel like there should be a problem with this, but I just never tried it. So
right. Yeah, I took all my heaters out too, except for a couple tanks. So
yeah, I'll probably end up putting them back in once winter. But right now, it's way warmer down here than upstairs.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Since I'm in the garage, it's harder for me to like keep like a perfect. Oh, Guppy Boy said it's the Vivo Sun, because I told him to get the same one because he was asking me which one I was using. So I'm kind of looking at the chat too while we're talking.
I'll say hi. I never know whether to say hi or talk because I always talk.
Yeah.
But thanks everyone for being here. We have all kinds of people. Candy's here.
We got Jesse. We got everybody.
Swampy Acres Homestead, Andre Scott, Taylor's Aquatics. Thank you guys.
Yeah, we got Chris Scott in the house too. Good to see you, Chris.
Yeah,
Chris is Fanatics manager.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I sent him out, I think, a trio of the purple Dumbos, like right before I really started selling fish. And he's got I think 80 of them now. He
was at the last Aquashella.
He was hanging out with all of them.
I'm sure I've said if he was there, hi in passing. So hello again.
I wish that I booked my tickets, I got my flight, I got my hotel, everything for this year, and then I got that message that they canceled. I was like, I
was so torn because the kids wanted to go trick-or-treating. But they also was like, could we go too? And I was like, yeah, we can take you to Aquashella this year.
Why not?
But at the same time, I'm like, man, that'd be really hard because I'd want to dress up. So I'd have to pack all my normal stuff on top of costumes, on top of the kids. I was like, man, that sounds like a fun trip. But I was just waiting. I didn't book anything because I was just waiting. I told Jesse, I was like, if we do go, which if they have it, I'll go. We'll just wait to the last minute. Right. So
yeah, my brother and I, we've never done like a brother trip before. It's just, we're only siblings, just me and my brother. And so this trip, he was going to go with me, and we were going to have like a bro trip and like hang out. He's a saltwater guy. He's got like I think a 210 gallon saltwater tank. So he loves saltwater. I love my freshwater. So it's like the opposing sides kind of thing, which is perfect because we're completely different people. So he was going to go with me, and we were so excited. And then he got the thing before I did, and he was so bummed. What?
Yeah, it's so fun. It's so fun.
But the next one, I will for sure be there because I want to meet everybody in person.
And be prepared. Like I could stay up all night and go right back to it. But it seems like I can't do that very often anymore. But you run on no sleep. We're up to 3 a.m, and then we turn around and get back up at 7 to meet for breakfast.
Yeah, that's totally fine with me because I would build all the energy up for this because it'd be so cool to meet everybody in person. It's awesome having this kind of interaction, but it's just so different when you're standing next to someone and you can really feel their personality, it's hard to tell. It's hard to see a real person until you really meet them in person.
Yeah.
So
well, I had the first trip I used to get over the shock, the start, because I went to Dallas first, and the whole trip I was just in shock that I was like, oh my gosh, that's you, and oh my gosh, that's you.
And just right next to me.
I was a little bit more relaxed because I don't know about you, I'm super shy, so it's a lot of self-talk to go up. And so definitely go as many times as you can because It's so much fun.
Yeah, my future plans are to go to every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to miss one going forward, just because I think it's just going to be so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like there's not many. Like since I'm in Utah, there's not a whole lot, show wise going on here.
Yeah.
This March though, we are having the IFGA show here in Salt Lake, which is going to be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited for that. But other than that, I'd have to go all the way to California, or I'd have to go all the way to like Chicago or something. So it's like I'm perfect middle between almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Aqua Shell is perfect because I can hit those and make it really work. So
I think didn't they add another one? There's an Orlando now, I believe, too, but I'm not sure what the dates are. I believe it's Chicago, Dallas, and Orlando now.
That's a lot of trips.
Yeah, I believe. But I don't remember the date, so don't quote me on it. But I remember saying something about something. I was like, ooh, ocean. But I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, anytime you can get me to California or somewhere warm, I will go for sure. Especially if it's like winter time. Like that, count me in. I'm there 100%. I don't see the sun for 6 months. I'll be totally fine.
Mm-hmm. Now, I feel like you were really prepared for your power outage, crazy storm weather. Do you run, because I can't remember, do you run air sponge filters in all of your tanks?
Every single tank is run off air. Yeah. So I switched out from all the hang-on backs and everything, which I started with. A lot of like the smaller, like, I can't remember if it was Tetra or Marine Land. One of the smaller ones. They're both practically the same thing.
Yeah.
Just like the smaller little 10s, and I had those running on all the tanks because they were $7 a piece or something. And they were easily where I could just go pick them up. Mm-hmm. But then I switched to all co-op sponges, and then I got the linear piston air pump, and that just like exploded my mind with like how incredible that thing is. Like all the tanks behind me, I think I'm running, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 27 tanks off of the one pump, and I still have air. Like it's incredible, and it's silent. Like right now, like all you can hear is bubbles.
Yeah.
But before I had like 7 air pumps in here, and it was just all day.
Yeah, I don't mind listening to it, but no one really in the family appreciates the sound like I do. So I do prefer it quiet if I can get it quiet.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like that's why I do. Like I've been using the aquarium co-op sponge filters here lately. Those are the ones since I've went into it that I have been using, but I always use the Tetra hang on the back, the whisper ones. And they've always been really quiet. Yeah.
Those are great. If you keep that water line up, you never hear them.
I was surprised how quiet the sponge filters were when I did start using them. Because in my head, I thought it was just going to be a really loud, bubbly fish store. And I was like, oh my gosh. But they're more quiet than I ever expected them to be. So
are you running the air stone in them too? Or are you just, that makes all the difference. Like literally, like I went through the other day, I think I bought another 17 of the Zis, and I was like, I got to go through. And I went through every single sponge and just made sure I put an air stone. Because some of my it's like, I'm pretty sure I put an air stone in there, but it doesn't sound like it. So I went through and like adjusted every one. But yeah, if you don't do the air stone, you're going to hear that for sure.
So I feel like you were prepared. Was there something that in the end coming out on the other side that you're like, that made that situation a little bit more pleasant?
Yeah, no, it was like one of those things that I was like, we were sitting in bed one night and I was like, I think I should maybe be prepared for if power goes out this winter, because it went out this winter for like 2 days. Like, and if that happens, I've got 50 tanks I have to worry about now. So I'm like, I went quickly to eBay and I looked for like rechargeable, like no extra power bank or anything needed air pumps. And I found just the little one. Here, I'll grab it because I showed it to you earlier when we were talking. It's called the Kedsum air pump. So just this little guy, and it's got the USB port on the side, so you can just run it off of like the regular, and it's really nice because it has two functions. So you can just turn it on, which you can hear it now. And then you can turn it to mode 2, which it runs for like 8 seconds or 10 seconds. And then it shuts off for 10 more seconds. And then it turns back on. So it runs for like twice as long. So I was like, this thing is incredible. 2 ports. It came with the airline. It came with the air stones.
Wow.
I was like, that's a no-brainer. So I bought I think 20 of them. It's just like, I was like, I want one for every 2 tanks. And so I went in and just bought like a whole bunch of them. I reached out to the eBay seller and I was like, hey, I want to buy like a large quantity of these. Can you help me out? And they were great because they're like, yeah, no one, everyone buys 1 or 2. But that's the nice thing about buying from eBay compared to like Amazon. Is you can say like, look, I want to buy a large quantity. You can email the seller and be like, I want to buy a large quantity. Usually they'll get back to you and say, yeah, sure. I can knock the price down $2 or $3 or so. I've been going more eBay for a lot of my aquarium needs. If it's not something I can get it from like the co-op, of course, you can't get their sponge filters from anywhere else. You can't get like Extreme Foods. There's nowhere that you can get it except for the price at least.
I got a free sample from Corey at one of the Aquashellas and fell in love with the krill flakes. And now it's kind of when I start getting low, I'm like, order.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm not a flake fan, like until I got that krill and the spirulina flake. And I'm like, oh, I love these things.
Yeah.
Like the smell of the spirulina flake is awful. Just absolutely awful. But it works really well. The fish love it. Like the angelfish will eat it. Hillstream loaches devour it. That's their favorite thing for sure.
How often do you feed your tanks? Do you feed them once a day or twice a day? Or
so I've got the auto feeders on every single tank. So I've got the Penplex daily doubles, or I got a few of, I think I have maybe 10 of the easy feeders from Co-op because I wanted to really try them out and see. Out of the 10, I think 2 of them ended up not working, which I'm fine with. They told me, before I bought them, like there was a potential for them to not work. And that's why I was like, okay, cool. So they still work great. And I use the easy feeders on like the discus tank and those kind of tanks because they need to be fed 3-4 times a day, but everything else just twice a day. And I really like the daily doubles because it's just a clock system in there. So just one AA battery and it just rotates and then spills food. And then it just keeps rotating and spills food. So it's super easy. There's nothing to them. I've dropped them in the tanks. They start right back up. Like I drop them off the 3rd rack and they fall right down and they'll bust into 100 pieces. And then you put them right back together and then they keep working. So,
well, that's why you're such a good breeder because you're a lot more consistent than I am.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is I travel a lot. So I sell medical equipment. So I'm over 8 states. I'm driving, 7-8 hours one way. So I'm on the road for sometimes 3-4 days at a time. So it's impossible for someone to come in here and be like, I need you to feed this tank 4 times a day. I need you to feed this tank 2 times a day, but this different type of food. It's just not fair for me to have someone else have to do that for me. Because it's no one else's job. Because I love this, if that makes sense. So I wanted to make it extremely easy for myself and for other people where I can be like, I'm going on a vacation or I'm going on a work trip. And I know that all my tanks are perfect. And then the minute I get back, all I'll look for is more babies. Like that's just the best part is I'm not stressing. And that's why I really like the Penplex and I really do like the easy feeders. And I love Extreme Food for that too. Because I know I'm not going to get crazy ammonia spikes because the food's so high quality. Even if there's like food left on the bottom, the snails are going to clean it up. The shrimp are going to clean it up. The plecos are going to eat it all. I'm just not worried with the setup. So
well, that's awesome. It sounds like you have a really good, like awesome setup. And I got that from your videos and your streams and listening to you all the time, but it sounds like now I know why you're so successful.
I just was like, I did it right the first time. And that was because of like people like you, like I said, when we were talking before, is like, I had watched and read so much before I even got my first tank that I kind of started off better than most. Like
Mhm.
most people start and they go through like their little stages of, you know, like, oh, I shouldn't have bought that. That was a waste of money because now this is better. And I kind of eliminated a lot of those processes and went right to being able to do what I'm doing now, because of like your channel and like Jesse over at HC Aqua and Trent being local. Like it was really cool when I met Trent in person. So I had followed him on YouTube for 2 years before I met him in person. I knew he was local, so I was like, oh, this is really cool. He's a local fish keeper. And then I was at a local aquarium club meeting and I handed him a couple of my stickers, and then he messaged me later because I bought a couple of his fish from him at the auction. And then we became great friends after that. But it's just like such a cool thing that I was able to like learn so much from everybody else before starting. And that's why YouTube is such a cool like avenue for new hobbyists and, you know, people who have been doing it forever, because you're always going to learn something new, either from someone's success or someone's failures. And that's really like, if you watch someone on YouTube who never makes a mistake, there's probably something that they're not telling you. So like, that's where I like love all of our, like the Fish Fam communities, like channels, because we're not ashamed to say like, look, I made a mistake. I lost, you know, a whole tank of fish because I did this. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, because you're telling everybody someone else is going to learn that, and they're not going to hopefully make that same mistake. It's just a really good way of education.
YouTube's been such a good, unbelievable resource. And I'm so thankful that I have it, because I learned so much. And even when something goes horribly wrong and I lose something, I might not have like all of the answers, but I feel like getting to know everybody and following everybody and learning so much from everybody that I have a little bit more of an idea of what I can do better in the future to improve the situation. So even because there's some weeks that it's like, I'm just not going to touch any tank because everything I do is not working. But even in those frustrating weeks, it seems like someone will give me an answer or an avenue to look in, or I'm more apt to look into it myself now because I know more people that I can reach out to. So it's just overall, just the community is amazing. And I'm so thankful.
For sure. And like, you've got really cool fish that no one really sees. And that's another really cool part. Like the pike live bearers you have, like absolutely mind blowing fish. And I'd never heard of them until your video. So it's like, that kind of stuff is just so fun because it's like, look what I have. And did you know this was something you can also get if you just did a little bit of looking? And it's like, oh, dang, I want that so bad now.
Because I didn't know about them until I walked into that store.
Like it's just so cool. And that's why like I love this, because I was like, I watched your video on those and I was like, oh, those are awesome. And then Mike over at the Guppy Shack was like, hey, do you want these golden skiffy? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I would love those. Because I was like, oh, that's another really cool live bearer that I can start into that process. But your pike live bears are gorgeous. Absolutely.
Well, they were gorgeous.
They were,
one now.
They
were very, very difficult to feed. And at first they attacked everything. And then it just, week by week, they became pickier and pickier and pickier. And I have one female now, and she's, so yeah, they were amazing.
I mean, that happens.
To give you bad news, but
I mean, it happens, and that's something that, you know, hopefully someone.
Tried everything I have tried: frozen food, granules.
They're just like people. Fish are just like people. They like what they like. Like I told Trent one day, he was in here filming the first fish room tour of my garage. And he was like, so what do you feed? I'm like, a mix of foods. And he's like, oh, why do you do that? I'm like, because everyone has a different thing that they like. Why should fish not be the same? He's like, oh, like, just like, we just don't think about like nature having so many different flavors, but it does. One fish may like insects only, and another fish might like algae. Like, it's just the way that nature happens. So Why
Yeah.
not make our fish the same way?
And these, I had another fish. I had three, I think it was 3 pea puffers. And they kind of did the same thing. They started off really great, and I lost one.
Yep.
And with these, I had 4 and I lost 1. And it seems like when I lost that first one, the other ones just never were the same.
Right.
So I don't know if they were just kind of worked together. And when one went, I don't know.
Yeah, it was the gang leader. It was like, hey, look, food.
Yeah, I saw them. I walked into the fish store. I saw them. I was like, oh my gosh. At the fish store, I was asking everybody about them. I was on my phone trying to see if I could even keep them. And I was doing all I could. I would just sit here and stare and be like, just eat, please. And they would eat a little bit here and there, but they wouldn't consistently eat to where their bellies would be like not skinny looking. So I don't know. It could have been anything. It could have been something internal, and I couldn't have done anything about it too. So I mean,
that's the thing. You don't know where they came from originally, so they could have been wild caught and had an internal parasite of some kind.
It's a newer fish store, and I think that they import a lot of their fish, and they don't do a whole lot of quarantining. They just hit the floor. So it could have been anything and everything, but I tried so hard because they were so cool.
Well, that's the kind of thing. You just wait till more of them come up, and you get more. Like, you know, that's the fun part is that it's, I mean, you tried your best, and that's all we can really do. Like,
but the last few minutes, I did want to talk to you about your website, because your website is an awesome idea. And I hope that when I get to the point where I have enough stock, that you guys can teach me how to do this.
Yeah, of course. So you can join up anytime. Like we have some people who only have one tank. Like it's kind of like anybody and everybody can sell. We just wanted to give a really nice, modern, easy platform with backup. Like that was the biggest thing.
Ourfishinitiative.com.
Our Fish Collective.
Our Fish Collective.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ian and I were doing Salt City Aquatics together.
Yes.
And then we both kind of sat down and we're like, I think we should add more people, but we need to do it differently. We need to, like, since we've been doing this for a year, we've kind of figured it out a little bit. We've, like Jesse does an incredible job. He's shipping from Hawaii. He has to do a different system than everybody else because that's a long distance and he has to follow all the regulations. So he's a little bit different, but like we learned from him, we learned from all these other people on YouTube and really kind of narrowed down the process to help everybody. So people that have never shipped fish or people that have shipped fish 100 times, they can be like, yeah, that doesn't work for me. And this is the reason why. We're like, okay, great. Then don't do that. But like someone who's never done it, we're like, here's breather bags, here's a heat sealer, here's this, and here's like instruction guides for acclimation so that when you send fish to someone, you don't have to like send them all this, like we print all of it out. We have all the cards ready to go. It's just, we want people to like understand that it's easy. If there's backup, like it's daunting.
Yeah.
It's really daunting and it's scary to just start out because you never know. Like I remember Ian's and my first shipment together. We shipped 38 fish to New Jersey. We used UPS. It was supposed to be second day. UPS got it lost. It got there in 5 days. All the fish were dead in box. And we were like, okay, we need to figure out a different way of doing this. So then we went to FedEx and FedEx was like, you have to get this license and you have to do all this. We're like, okay, well, that's not going to work. So then we did USPS and it's pretty good. Like there's a couple times where you'll get a mistake here and there, but maybe 1 out of every 50 shipments I've had an issue with, which isn't bad. I will be fine with that. And if you pack it correctly, you're not going to have any issues with the internal stuff. It's just going to be the external. But it's really just the backup that we wanted to help people with because when do we have time to really do all the research? Number one, but number two, it's really not about, can I ship this? It's, can I breed this to be able to ship this?
Yes.
And we want people to really take the time on their fish and make sure that it gets to that second person and them have success as well. So it's a lot of time in the front. There's a lot of times where where I'm sitting here cutting pieces of paper and laminating stuff and, you know, like building boxes for people and sending them out. So I don't have a whole lot of time in my day. So I added more things onto my plate, which is great because I already love what's happening with it, because it's really cool to see like Trent over at Well Done Tanks. He's in the chat. He sold quite a lot of fish, and he didn't know how to ship. And with the processes we've kind of set in place, he was able to do it and have great success starting right out of the gate.
That's awesome.
So it's been really fun because, you know, one tank all the way up to 150 tanks. People are all over the place. And it's really cool to have a variety of fish.
Well, it doesn't make it seem so intimidating, because the process of shipping fish and learning how to do it and doing all that completely on my own, if I ever wanted to do that, it was kind of even taking it off the plate, because I was like, that just seems like so much for like, I can't.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Doing something like this and kind of taking a lot of the guesswork out and at least telling you this is what you need to do. This is how you do it. It doesn't seem like you get lost in all that other stuff. So it could help someone like me learn how to do it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And when you're ready, just let us know.
And then it like, helps the community too. Because you can kind of pitch in and kind of help someone if something.
Yeah, so the collective fund is what we haven't really come up with a name for it yet. But a portion, I think 5% of every sale goes into a collective fund. So the really cool thing is you're helping the whole community every time you buy fish.
Yes.
So let's say like someone goes through a hurricane and they lose all their fish and they need some money to help them get a new roof, or their tires popped or something and they can't get to work or something. As a community, we can say, we want to send this person $150 from the collective fund, and we will do that. We'll just send it out of the fund, taken care of. And that's really cool, is because these people are buying fish that they want, but they're also helping the community at the end. So it's been really fun to like see that, because Ian and I, like every day is like, the fund's up to like $26 and it's up to $27. And it's just so cool to watch, because it seems like it's so little, like 5% doesn't seem like a whole lot. But then when you add it into like the long term, like being able to help someone if their phone breaks and they can't communicate, or a camera breaks in their fish room and they need to start building funds, instead of going through a third party site that's like, we're going to take 10-15% of this, it's just, here's a Venmo of $150.
Yeah.
So much better, so much easier. And it's coming from us as a community. And it just means more, I think, that way than just being like, well, let's set up this fund account and have it go where we don't know, or we're losing money because it's going through them.
Yeah.
Why not get fish out of it?
I know. I just want to give back to this community, however means I can possibly give back. And if there's another way I can do it and sell fish and get new fish and still give back, it seems like an awesome idea to me.
Yeah. And then another thing, like we've worked into it so that our percentage down the road, if we work with other companies, we'll cut out of our percentage instead of sellers' percentages in order to make that work. So like if we have a 5% discount or a 10% discount, that'll come off our end instead of sellers. So nothing ever changes on the seller side. It's just our side. So we worked all that in at the beginning to really like make sure that every seller has success. And then also like the changing of the featured breeder. That was another thing. That was Ian's idea. He was like, I really want to feature a different person every week. I'm like, great idea. Yeah. So like if we notice, let's say you're on the site and you haven't sold anything in a couple weeks, we're like, hey, featured breeder this week. And we watch you have 3 or 4 sales in, you know, the first couple of days. That's what we really want, is everyone to have the opportunity. Like, I don't need to sell any fish. I really just want people to be able to sell their fish. I don't care if I sell another fish, because I can give fish to the local people and send them to friends and whatnot. So I just think it's really fun to be able to help the community through the site.
Yes. Keep up the good work. You're doing a good job.
Yeah, we're trying our best. It's a lot.
Trent, was it Trent that did your website?
So Ian did the website.
Ian, okay,
Yeah,
I got him confused. Well, shout out to you too.
No, Ian did an incredible job. He is killing it. And every day he makes a new change that I'm like, oh, that's such a good idea.
I was trying to remember, but
no, you're fine. There's a lot of names. But yeah, Ian, I've known since I was like 2 years old as well. So really, really long time friend. And then like a year ago, he was like, hey, you keep fish? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, I keep a lot of shrimp and guppies. I'm like, cool. And he's like, you want to sell on my site? And then it all worked out really well.
That's awesome.
So
the last few minutes I think we have 5 minutes left. I wanted to ask you, did you try your brine shrimp concoction thing that you ordered?
The eggs?
No, it was not the eggs. It was what you put the eggs into. Was it a blender or?
Oh yeah, the Zis blender.
Yeah,
I've got it somewhere. Yeah, it's over here. I absolutely love it.
Do you?
I would recommend, since you do have more than a couple tanks, yes. I would think it would be something that you would probably look into getting.
Well, I tried to make a contraption.
Yeah.
And some things hatched. But I have trouble separating the non-hatched eggs from the freshly hatched shrimp or brine shrimp because I had a lot that didn't hatch.
Right.
I was using it wasn't like one of those sample tubes to try to get it down before I got the San Francisco Bay brand.
Yep. So and I really like them. I think they have a really good success.
So I use that as like a sample. Let's see if it leaks. But yours, what you ordered, seems like it was fancy.
It works really well. That thing is awesome. I love the way that it's just like, it's solid. Like I've got it sitting right here, so I keep looking off screen. But I really do like it. And then Co-op just sent me a whole nother one with their eggs and everything. So
yeah, I'm going to order some of their eggs too.
Yeah,
I've got to figure out what I'm doing.
Trent told me, and I'm going to let everyone else know too, that the eggs need 36 hours instead of 24. Okay. So let them sit for 36 and you'll get a better hatch rate out of them. So that would be definitely like something that I want to tell people.
For the co-op ones, the
co-op ones. Okay. Yeah. So like with San Francisco Bay or Brine Shrimp Direct, they're usually 24 hour. But apparently Trent's had much more success with the co-op eggs coming out at 36 hours. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay. Because a lot of people right off the bat are like, oh, these are, 50% hatch rate and they're garbage or whatever. But then if you wait another 12 hours, they're perfect. Yeah, they're going to be that 90 plus. Okay. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. But the Zis brine shrimp hatchery is incredible. It's one of my favorite things. I've got 2 of them now. I'm so excited to set up both of them because I'm going to do brine shrimp every single day. I'm just going to do a new batch daily.
I'm like, it seems like that's what everybody's talking about right now because Co-op released their new product. So we're all going to try it. And so I like brine shrimp.
I bought mine like, I bought mine like 6 months ago. Okay. So I bought it from eBay before the Co-op even carried it. So I had been using it for like 3 or 4 months before they released it. And then I did my video on it when they released it because I was like, this is probably a good time to talk about this thing since I've used it for a little while. I absolutely love it. It's great. And then get a really good sieve as well. That's definitely going to help you a lot. Yes. And then go watch Jesse's Instagram on how he feeds his brine shrimp because it is genius, absolutely genius.
Like note to self, watch after stream.
Yeah, like I have him here because I like saw his video. I was like, oh my god, I have to do that. But it's like the Gatorade bottles that sports athletes use, where it's got the little tube on the end, and he squeezes them into each. It's incredible.
I bought a bunch of those. I don't know what they're called, but they're like squeezy bottles. We used them in lab class with like the pipette. Yeah. I have a bunch of those
that's what he uses to feed brine shrimp. Yeah. So he like does it right into those and then he squeezes the live brine right into the tanks.
Jesse will grab them. They're right there in the storage. They're not even open because I haven't got anything to hatch all that well. Those white squeezy bottles.
And Candy's in the chat saying that Corey's hatches in 24 hours, but his room is super hot. So
you get a little bit out and then put the rest of the can in the freezer?
So usually I do freeze them. I always have.
Okay.
But like I know a lot of people, like Trent has his brine shrimp just sitting out, and he's never had any difference.
Never had.
But I would recommend throwing them in a fridge or a freezer, just because it's better safe than sorry.
Yeah,
when you're spending that exact thing. That's the thing. Yeah,
I have like 6 of them.
Yeah, I have a bunch of them now too. And I was like, I have to get these because it was so genius. And now I'm like, I can go through and squeeze them all into every one of the tanks. So
I'm prepared. Let me tell you, I was like, I need this and I need that and I need this type of thing. And then all of it came and I was like hooking it up. I'm like, I can do it. And then I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I did the San Fran like DIY bottle one too for a while. I just didn't like how like messy it was.
Yeah.
Like that was the biggest issue with that. Where with like this, it's so easy. You just turn the spigot and it shoots out the bottom. It gives
me a reason to go shopping.
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
I don't go shopping for like girl stuff. I shop for fish stuff.
We all do this. My credit card's ridiculous.
We don't talk about the bill.
Yeah, it's one of those things you're like, ooh, that was a lot of money, but
I wonder why I have no money at the end of the
worth
month.
it.
Well, my tanks look good.
Yeah, that's another problem with the site is I can't go on there a whole lot because I'm like, ooh, I really want that fish. So it's like every time I put a watermark on someone's picture, I like black the picture out until I put the watermark because I'm like, oh, I don't want to look at their fish because I might want it. So,
Well, I guess wrapping up real quick, just thank you for being here and having a conversation with me about this, that, and the other Guppy related.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that much Guppy, but it's usually that, that way when you're just talking with a fellow fish nerd. Yeah.
It wiggles back into the conversation, but I feel like you're the first guest that's been on that's had really similar fish as I keep. So it was fun talking to you. So thank you.
No, for sure. Thank you for having me. It's been a blast. We'll have to do it again for sure.
We'll try for another in 3 months. It'll take us 3 or 4 months to schedule it, and then we'll go ahead.
Yeah, the last 3 times you asked me, I was like, I am literally on the road today, or I'm on a plane.
We had that crazy storm and then family time, but it worked out. It
did. I appreciate it. And thank you for moving it for an hour later for me because I got off work late. So I think it worked out.
We had a good turnout. Thank you guys again for being here.
It was awesome.
Try again next week to pay better attention to the chat.
It's always hard when you're like interacting with each other.
But I just appreciate you guys being here, and I figured them showing up, hopefully we can pass on some good information.
Yes. And it's always fun like talking with someone of like mind too, where you're like, oh, this is so fun. Because I think they get as much enjoyment out of it. So
well, and it takes me a second. I get all nervous before because I'm like, I'm used to being in the chat and talking that I'm like, no, it's you. So it's fun.
I'm very much introverted. So I feel like we're very much the same in that too, where it's like, it's hard for us to get on a camera and talk to people. So it's nice when you have someone else that you can like talk to. It's easy. So I appreciate it.
And next week we have Daniken Aquatics is going to be.
Oh, I love Daniken. He's awesome. Kenny is a great guy.
Next Friday for another chat. But thank you again. And thank you guys, everybody. And I will see you guys soon, hopefully in a new video and next week on the stream. Thank you. Bye.